Hello, sports fan. This is Steven here for JustMyPicks.com, and I'm bringing you a special NFL breakdown of the top five hot seats in the NFL as far as coaching goes. That means that if these teams do not have a successful season, the head coach is likely looking at a possible change, possible demotion, or even possible firing. So I'm going to start at number five. Of course, we all know about Ron Rivera and the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers' last two seasons have not made the playoffs. Having Cam Newton is a big thing for the Carolina Panthers because they selected him number one overall. It's looking like the last two seasons have been a developmental block for Cam Newton because Ron Rivera refuses to really go out and get big offensive weapons for Cam Newton. I know that they've gotten a couple of wide receivers as far as Ted Ginn and Dixon in the free agency, via free agency, but that's not going to cut it. Steve Smith is on his last leg as far as athletics goes, as far as him being a top one of the top echelon wide receivers in the NFL. After that, you really don't have a lot of wide receiver help. You know, on tight end, they do have Greg Olsen, who is a solid tight end threat, but you can only have so many weapons on the field at once that are reliable, and Steve Smith and Greg Olsen are really the only weapons that Cam Newton has, even though he is doing a great job on that defense with Luke Kuechly and John Beeson and those guys. He's doing a solid and phenomenal job there, but he's neglecting the offense. I think that if the Panthers don't have a successful year this season, there's a reason he didn't get an extension the last 2 years. So I'm looking at Ron Rivera as being the first possible casualty as far as head coaches losing their jobs if the Carolina Panthers don't get off to a very successful start or either win the NFC South down there in Carolina. But I'm just looking at so many holes on this team on offense, it's ridiculous. Coming in number four, Gary Kubiak of the Houston Texans. Gary Kubiak of the Houston Texans has had a championship team for the last 2.5 or 3.5 years with Matt Schaub, Arian Foster, and Andre Johnson. It's so many things that this team is not getting done. I know that they added Ed Reed this offseason. That should be a big help for those safeties back there. Even if he doesn't start the year healthy, I feel like Ed Reed throughout the season can play hurt. He can also be effective at that safety position. You know that you have J.J. Watt, of course, who is a phenomenal defensive end, one of the best, if not the best defensive end in the NFL. Plus, you have Brian Cushing coming back. So I feel like right now that the Houston Texans are in prime position to win a Super Bowl. But yet again, you have Gary Kubiak, who doesn't make the best choices. I know Matt Schaub doesn't either. So Gary Kubiak is looking at a possible playoff season, but you need more than the playoffs, and you need more than just one victory in the playoffs. You need to be able to beat and at least get to the AFC Championship game and make some noise. Come close to winning that game. And I feel like for now, the writing's on the wall. This Texans team is maxed out at talent, as you see from the offensive line, the wide receivers, to running backs, to all that. I feel like they have a chance to do it. They need to do it now. Coming in at number three, Jason Garrett of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones wants to run the Cowboys. He wants to be the head coach. He wants to be the head cheerleading coach, as I've said in many years. He wants to be the head concession guy. He wants to be his face on everything. So Jason Garrett has been demoted from play calling. He's had a public battle with owner Jerry Jones over the last couple of months about what his role would be. If Jason Garrett does not make the playoffs, flat out, he is done as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. There's no more room for error. We've seen Wade Phillips be ushered out. He's along with that same regime. I really feel like Jason Garrett's year depends on Tony Romo and Dez Bryant. If they don't get to a great start, you're looking at the same situation as the Carolina Panthers were in with Ron Rivera, and it's just so many things that the Dallas Cowboys have. They have so much talent, but yet don't have anything to show for it the last 4 to 5 years when they've been one of the premium teams on talent in the NFL. They've been lackadaisical, mediocre at best, and they are lackluster in their performances when it matters. We've seen them come down and have games against the Philadelphia Eagles and couldn't get it done to get in the playoffs. We've seen games against the Washington Redskins and they couldn't win just to get into the playoffs. So we've seen so many things that they have been able to not do. Call it what you want, but if they don't make the playoffs this season, Jason Garrett will be done. Jerry Jones has low patience at this point, and I feel like he can say whatever he wants during the media and say Jason Garrett's safe. I'm telling you, otherwise, Dallas Cowboys need to make the playoffs in order for Jason Garrett to even think about keeping his job. Coming in at number two, The Atlanta Falcons, Mike Smith. Yes, he's enjoyed success the last couple of years. Yes, he has Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Tony Gonzalez, Steven Jackson, Roddy White, one of the best offensive skill set units in the NFL. But he's had this unit for the most part for the last 3 years. And to that, I don't know if you could blame it totally on the defense, because against the San Francisco 49ers last year, the offense choked. Couldn't score a touchdown in the second half to save their lives in a playoff game to possibly finish off the 49ers and possibly let them go to the Super Bowl. But Mike Smith is a defensive coach. You have to look at the Falcons' defense as being atrocious, even though they added Osi Umenyiora in the offseason. Them getting Trufant in the NFL draft was a dumb idea. They needed so many other things. A cornerback. There was a lot of other good cornerbacks that could have went out in free agency. I know losing Brent Grimes will hurt, but you have to look at the overall grand scheme of things. The Atlanta Falcons cannot keep top-tier defensive players on defense because they don't take care of their defensive players. The Atlanta Falcons need to work on that core defensive line. They need to work on replacing John Abraham, because, yes, Osi's a good defensive end, but he's no John Abraham. John Abraham is a flat-out beast. Osi's more of a specialist with the speed rushing and more of a product of the New York Giants system that up there in that NASCAR package that they got in New York. So I'm looking forward to this team to eventually try to break that glass, that ceiling like they have over their heads. And Mike Smith, it's do or die. And I believe that the Atlanta Falcons, with a coaching move, could become one of the great teams in the NFC South and really have a stranglehold over teams in the NFC South for the next couple of years. So I'm looking at the Atlanta Falcons and Mike Smith as being on the hot seat, because you have the talent, you have the players on offense. At best, you better outscore everybody. Don't worry about defense. Try to outscore every single team each week by at least 20, 30 points and use those weapons. Coming in at number 1, Rex Ryan of the New York Jets. It's bound to happen with the injuries and horrible play last night to Mark Sanchez and by Geno Smith, the rookie. I'm looking at this team and laughing, because Rex Ryan should have got out of town at the end of the season. He should have been fired. I don't know why they're prolonging this, because this team, it's looking like this team has no hope, and they're looking more and more each week as they're going to finish at the 4th spot in their division. I know people have been talking about Jadeveon Clowney is going to become a New York Jet. It's becoming louder and louder each week as Rex Ryan opens his mouth. Not knowing who to start, not knowing who to play, playing Mark Sanchez with the backups and letting him get hurt in the 3rd preseason game of the season was not wise at all. Geno Smith playing poorly. The Jets are in trouble, flat out. If Rex Ryan does not win a playoffs and go deep into the playoffs, possibly an AFC Championship game, his ride is over, and also Mark Sanchez's ride is over. The Jets need to rebuild that team. They need to rebuild on offense, because offense is their calling card. That's what they need to work on. And defense is what they can lay their hat on, but the offense is the weakness. The offense for so many years has declined, going from an outstanding offense in Mark Sanchez's first year to now where you don't really know where your offense is coming from. You have Stephen Hill out of the University of Georgia Tech. Can't catch, really. He's a project in itself as a wide receiver. He doesn't have the training you need for a wide receiver to really break out and do the things he needs to do. Santonio Holmes is coming off the PUP list. That's always something shaky about him with his injuries. Plus, Braylon Edwards is not really the top tier talent as we thought he was coming out. So I'm picking the Jets in this case to lose their head coach first and foremost and have the most heat on his hot seat. The Jets are in trouble, flat out. I don't feel like they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they'll win 7 games this season. I really don't see a positive way for this to end. I'm seeing this as one of those situations where the Jets are going to use him as a scapegoat, and are also going to use Mark Sanchez as a scapegoat, because Geno Smith isn't going nowhere. He just was drafted in the 2nd round by the Jets, and I don't think they're going to trade him or send him off anytime soon. You can check me out at justmypicks.com. You can follow me on Twitter at justmypicks.tv. You can also check me out on YouTube, YouTube.com/justmypicks.tv. Also, remember to subscribe and share my videos on your sports channels, on your sports pages on Facebook. Get the conversation involved. Let your people know that we, Just My Picks, we want to debate with you and things like that. Also, please, please, please subscribe and share my videos. Thank you very much.